Welcome back, Officers Republic. It's your Coruscant Underworld Police Chief, APGAINS. I tried to upload this video. It didn't have any audio, so here we are again. How to efficiently, most effectively, and most happily farm SLKR. Now, I think, forewarning, obviously, rushing SLKR out the get-go, not a great idea if you want to be good at the game. Nevertheless, I know that there are a bunch of people who do it, / people who are trying to work towards him at different points in the game, and I'm going to help you out because, I mean, telling you that you're doing something bad and then not offering a solution to help you kind of mitigate the damage would be kind of a dick move. So here we are. It's Massive PP Mayo trying to get 20k subs, subscribe, like for Ballsack Bunny, whatever, blah, blah, blah. All right, SLKR. I think it requires 13 relic first order characters, if I am not mistaken. Let's check here. Bada bing, bada boom. Yes, 13 relic first order characters. Now, as you guys know, the first order faction as a whole is F and D tier in Grand Arena, so you're not going to get a whole lot of value out of the actual characters, which is one of the main problems when, you know, rushing SLKR off the get-go. Now, we'll talk about two different camps. The first camp, people who rush. The second camp, people who get them a little bit later at some point, right? For the first camp, you're going to need 13 characters at Relic, and I'm going to be quite honest with you, only like 3 or 4 of them are actually useful past Gear 8, so that is going to be a huge problem. Now, why is it bad to rush SLKR? Well, you're going to lose a lot more Grand Arenas. Instead of going in your first year like 144-0, you're going to go like 80 to 85 to 90 and whatever the remainder is, depending on how good you are. Maybe a lot less if you're a brand new player. Because a lot of times, like really brand new players will go down this path, and then they don't have the years of experience in Grand Arena that normal players do. So there's going to be kind of more of a hiccup in Grand Arena, and you're going to be a little bit less successful. So I'm going to teach you how to not only get SLKR faster than you would otherwise, but also win more Grand Arenas while you're doing it. So the most important thing when you first start in Grand Arena is actually putting together a body of work so that you can climb in the leagues and make more crystals per day, per win, per season, yada, 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 right? So the most important thing to do early is the second we hit level 85, we got to start climbing fast. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to kind of ignore a lot of the first order characters when we're first farming out. Let me filter for first order. We're going to kind of ignore them. We can relic Hux, we can relic Crew or Sith Trooper or Kylo Ren if we want. But right off the get-go, before we're at level 85, now this is massively important if you want to start off on the right foot if you're rushing SLKR. Before we hit level 85, we need to unlock Commander Luke Skywalker. This is imperative that we unlock Commander Luke Skywalker pre-level 85, or at least before we ever start our first Grand Arena. Why do we need to do that? Because he is easy to get, incredibly easy. Gear 8 across the board requirements. His requirements are pretty much the easiest in the game, and he's going to be our first super team. He's going to be our best shot at making sure that no matter what our opponent does, we beat them, right? Grand Arena, when you first start off, you need 3 teams on offense, 3 teams on defense. The person who gets the most banners wins. Commander Luke Skywalker undersizes pretty much forever, right? So you're always going to be getting those undersized banners, which means you're going to be ahead of your opponent unless your opponent is also undersizing, right? So we're going to want to get Commander Luke Skywalker. We're also going to want to try to join a Discord server or something like that so we can try to get into a guild so that we can get our 5-star Han Solo as fast as possible. That's going to also be imperative. We need to get a 5-star Han Solo. That being said, we also need to do a little bit of bounty hunter action. If we filter up to B, where the bounty hunters are, we need to make sure that we get Bosk up to 5 stars at least. We need to get Mando up to 5 stars. We need to get Jango, Boba, and Dengar up to 5 stars. These guys are going to help us get our 5-star Chewbacca. We're going to slap a Zeta on him. And then we're going to have a really powerful, undersized team that also gets max banners, and that's going to help us. Now, no matter what farming path you're doing, no matter what you're doing, no matter what, if you're starting a new account, Darth Vader needs to be your first Zeta on his Merciless Massacre and needs to be your first Relic. Needs to. If you're not doing this, you are making an unimaginably massive mistake, and I will email your mother and just say my condolences. I'm so sorry for your loss. Your child we thought was promising, but here we are. A little bit of an exaggeration, but you do definitely need to have Darth Vader as your first Relic and your first Zeta, no matter what you are farming. Okay, he's going to be the same thing as CLS. Solo max banners is going to give you what, like, if you do it right off the bat, it's going to be like 78, 79 banners. I don't even know what max banners. 69 banners without the +10. So either 79 or 69 banners is going to be almost impossible for your opponent to defeat, and I'll tell you why. So we have that. We have probably the 67 banners that we're going to get from our CLS team. And then what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to get a couple other teams up and running. We're going to try, if we scroll, we have our Bounty Hunter team. So our Bounty Hunter team, other Boss Lead, we're going to put Boss Zeta, is going to also give us more than max banners because we're going to undersize. Darth Vader is going to give us more than max banners because we're going to undersize. CLS is going to give us more than max banners because we're going to undersize. So our opponents are it's going to be almost impossible for them to beat us. Mathematically speaking, it's going to be almost impossible for them to win. You see why farming SLKR is not a great idea right off the bat, because you're giving up so many opportunities to win. But once we've established that, then we can start relicking up all of our first order characters because we have our offense kind of down pat. Since we know we're going to be out-bannering our opponents, now we can start applying relics to our first order characters so that they survive a little bit longer and can steal a couple of banners from our opponents and make it a little bit easier for us to win, because this is going to be where primarily your investment are focused. Now again, not a great idea, but people like to do this anyway. So that's how you're going to win in the SLKR rush kind of scenario. Scenario 2 is it's not a little bit better, it's much better. It's like you have an established account, you're probably 2.5 million GP, you want your first Galactic Legend to be SLKR. If you're farming your first Galactic Legend, you likely have Gas, you likely have Malak, of course, both Revens, a CLS team, a Bounty Hunter team, a Padme team, a GG Separatist droid team. You're looking pretty, right? You also have Geos, I guess, and a little bit of Triumvirate, maybe an Iden Versio Omicron or whatever. You have an established account and you're winning your Grand Arenas. And let's say you just want SLKR to be your first Galactic Legend. He's solid on offense, has some off-meta counters, but you're probably going to be using him on offense anyway. And he comes with good ships, right? In this scenario, you probably want to focus on the first order ships a little bit more, right? Because when we're farming new teams, the characters themselves, unless the requirements for something else, you likely want those characters to be adding benefits, adding value to your characters in GAC. Now, we've already established that the first order teams are D and F tier at best, so they're not going to be adding a lot of value on our actual board, on our actual character battles. But what SLKR does have, now that they've added the TIE Echelon to the game, is a really good ship, a really good fleet, especially as we're progressing towards Kyber, because if you're like 3 to 3.5 million GP, you should probably be at the point where you're pushing into Kyber. Having an extra really strong fleet is going to be important, so we want to focus on the SLKR requirements that are for his fleet first, right? This is going to give us actual value, because we're not going to get a ton of value in Grand Arena from farming the characters, but the characters required for the ships and the ships in Grand Arena are going to give us real tangible value. This is kind of SLKR's saving grace, in my opinion. It's just such a good fleet that, as your fourth or your fifth fleet in Grand Arena, it's very, very important to have a strong fourth or fifth fleet. And this is where we're going to want to focus our attention. Our Kylo Ren on Mass is probably going to want to be first. Then probably our Hux. Then probably our OG Kylo, and then our Echelon, and then maybe some of our damage dealers in the First Order TIE Pilot and Special Forces TIE Pilot. After that, we can kind of get up the rest of the requirements and work towards that. But we want to make sure that if we're coming in from a point of we have an established account, we're winning our Grand Arenas, SLKR is going to be our first Galactic Legend, or even our second Galactic Legend, right? We're just farming him normally. We want to make sure that we push the characters that are in fleets first. My main account, the account I'm using right now, is kind of doing that right now. I have my Kenobi. I have a great roster. We're winning all of our Grand Arenas. I'm about to get another Galactic Legend in Jedi Knight Luke, JML. I'll have Malgus up and running. I'll have a good stable account. But what I'm doing is, before I'm ever considering farming SLKR, I'm farming up my first order. That's why some of these are, highlighted right here, because I want to get a 7-star. I want a relic. Same here, right? I'm putting in the work to the ships way before I ever consider farming SLKR. All right, hopefully this was helpful. Sorry for the audio issues this morning. As always, I love you, and I'll see you later.